Can you guess what one of the most common questions I get about prepping is? It's where do I shop to buy all of the gear? If you have ever stopped to ask yourself the same question, or you have wondered to yourself, where do I get all of these things that all of these preppers are talking about, then today's video is for you, my friend. Welcome back to Preparedness, where we talk about prepping and self-sufficiency. I am Laura, and today we are diving in to a great conversation piece, which is my 4 favorite stores I use to shop for prepping. And before you panic, these are not strange stores. In fact, I am guessing that you use most of these already. The first store that you can probably guess that we use for prepping are just Sam's and or Costco. Think bulk stores. Bulk stores are fantastic for prepping because you can buy a large quantity of stuff in one trip. They have a lot of those items that you want to store for emergencies. They have bottled water, they have canned goods in bulk so that you can stock up on those favorite beans and soups and vegetables. Those are a great resource for you to buy the things that you need to buy in bulk. I love using Sam's Club for things like food, for household supplies, think everything like toilet paper, cleaning supplies, paper towels, Ziploc bags, trash bags, right? Because everything is in huge quantities. It is great for prepping because you can honestly buy 1 or 2 boxes of things there and you have enough supplies to last you for a 2-week or 30-day emergency with no trouble at all. Sam's and Costco also have great things like rice, dried beans, flour, things like that, that are those supplies that you may want to have in bulk that are just easy to get. These are not your fancy or sexy prepping supplies. These are your basic items that your family probably already uses, and quite frankly, you're probably already buying from Costco and Sam's or some other store like that. These are just those supplies that you want to have in bulk so that in an emergency situation, you don't have to be running out to the store every few minutes. The second store that I love to shop at for all things prepping is, as you probably can guess from any of my other videos, is just Amazon. My husband loves to say that all good things come from Amazon, and I have to say that from a prepping perspective, Amazon is great to buy kind of some of those key core supplies that you're probably not going to run down to your local Walmart or your Target or even your Sam's Club and your Costco, although sometimes they do carry some of these items. These are the items that are maybe a little bit more specialty. So my few favorite items that I get from places like Amazon are my Mr. Buddy heaters. I love Mr. Buddy heaters because they burn really clean. They are a great source of heat. We use them for traveling in our travel trailer, but we also use them for emergencies for warming our house. We have also bought our Jackery solar panels from Amazon because they run sales quite frequently, and that is a great place to get our battery backups. Again, solar generators are just solar panels that charge a battery. In our case, we prefer the Jackery brand. It's just what we got started with. There's a lot of other great brands out there that you can use, but that is a great place. So we buy things like that. Also things like our toilet bucket that we have for our emergency shelter and emergency bathroom in extremis. These are the kinds of one-off things. They're also great for supplies like headlamps, flashlights, first aid supplies. So any kind of item that you want to get, again, that maybe you can't just run down to your local store and get, Amazon is a great place for that. Here's a bonus tip about Amazon. For those things that you use on a regular basis, I love this for vitamins, for, again, some household supplies that I don't buy at Sam's or Costco. In Amazon, if you put those on recurring shipment, they come straight to your door at whatever frequency you like. This can be an amazing way to stock up on supplies very easily without the stress to know that you already have some on hand. If you shorten that frequency to a little bit shorter than what your family actually uses, then you can create a stockpile relatively quickly with your Amazon stuff getting directly delivered to your house without even having to think about it. So I love that hack for putting things on subscribe and save at Amazon. You also save a little bit of money when you do it that way, so it's a great point. Another bonus thing about Amazon is if you have their credit cards, you can use your prepping points to buy Christmas presents the following year. So that's my favorite hack that I have. So if you are already shopping at Sam's and Costco and Amazon, you may also consider stores like REI, or think any outdoor outfitter. REI just happens to be my favorite. This is a great store to buy those things that what I would call are things that you would normally use for camping, but that you can also use for emergency preparedness. Think about this in terms of cold weather gear that is going to be stable and last. This could also be packs that you're going to use for your 3-day pack or for your get home bag. It could be things like camp stoves that you use to heat your food in an emergency situation. REI is a great place to buy those specialty items. You will pay a little bit more for the items at stores like that, but you're also going to be able to go in and shop around and see different quality of things and see different items that may be a good fit for you in prepping. So don't rule out those stores just because sometimes they come with slightly higher price tags. At REI, they have something called their garage sale kind of section. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it is all of the items that are gently used that people have returned because either they didn't work for them or they just decided they didn't want them. That is also a great place to get things like sleeping bags, sleeping pads, things like that, that you can get at a discount price that will be really useful for your prepping. The other advantage of stores like REI and other outdoor stores is that the supplies that they carry are generally very lightweight and heavy duty. So when I am looking at things for my get home bag, for instance, whether that is silverware or a flashlight, REI is a great place because they sell those camping and hiking quality items that have usually been shrunk down to the smallest size possible, the lightest weight possible, because they are catering to those off-grid backpackers and hikers who want to be out in the wilderness for a long time. When you think about prepping and you think about putting a pack on your back, you are going to want to reduce the weight as much as possible. Sometimes those high-end kind of items from a camping, hiking perspective can be doubled in your emergency kit. That can be like water bottles and things like that. So anything that you would use for hiking and camping, you can buy at those stores, and then you can use those in your prepping bags. It's a great resource. And the fourth store category is probably one that you haven't necessarily shopped at, and that is going to be a restaurant supply store. Now, when I first heard about restaurant supply stores, I assumed that they only sold to restaurants, right? They supply restaurants. That's why they're called restaurant supply stores. Makes sense. Here's the great news. They also often sell to the general public, which means you can go into a restaurant supply store and find things in bulk that maybe you can't find at Sam's or Costco. And sometimes it's the same stuff, but you can find it for better prices. So great things from a restaurant store. That can be heavy duty pots and pans. So again, if you're thinking about cooking over fires, might want cast iron. If you're thinking about things that are going to be durable in terms of utensils, can openers, things like that, restaurant supply stores are a great option because they have heavy duty equipment, because they're designed to be used in a commercial kitchen where everything gets a lot of use, a lot of abuse, and they just create things that are very sturdy. And so it is great for things like that in terms of your actual stock pots and your serving spoons and things like that that you may want to stock up on. Restaurant supply stores are also great for things like spices. They sell every spice that you could imagine in big containers, which is a great way to stretch the core foods that you are probably storing for emergencies. Think rice, think beans, think oats and pasta, etc. Adding different seasonings can really change the flavor of those dishes and expand your palate and kind of expand the options for you to cook meals that taste good to your family, where you don't get food fatigue, which is a concern when you're talking about long-term emergency prepping. So I like to buy spices at restaurant stores. I also like to buy things like beans, rice, and pasta at restaurant stores. It's even larger kind of bundles than you can find at Sam's and Costco, and a lot of times they have more variety. So restaurant stores are a hidden gem from a prepping perspective for where you can go. So just Google restaurant supply stores in your area and you will find one probably that is open to the public that you can use. They're a great place to just go wander, kind of get good ideas. They're also great if you are storing things like meat in a freezer. So using a long-term freezer is great for when you have power and you're just stuck at home. Again, think something like COVID. You can buy meat in bulk at restaurant supply stores. Again, even larger kind of chunks or batches than you can at Sam's. They also have frozen vegetables, frozen fruit, things like that. So if you have a freezer that you are using as part of your prepping kind of food storage solutions, then restaurant supply stores are going to be amazing for finding stuff that is often pre-packaged, pre-sealed into individual servings or smaller servings, and or just quantity where you can really stock up pretty quickly at reasonable prices. Definitely shop the sales, definitely look for things. You also are going to want to price compare a little bit between Sam's, Costco, and restaurant supply stores, because some things are cheaper at one and some things are cheaper at another. So if you are trying to save money, that is a great place to add. So there you go. Those are 4 places that I suggest for just what I'll call normal preppers, like people like you and me who want to be more prepared for emergencies. You don't have to go to specialty stores. You don't have to go to military surplus stores, although they're great. You can just go to the stores that you're probably already shopping at to find the supplies you need to be more prepared. I would love to hear your favorite store for prepping, because I am guessing there's some out there that I haven't even thought of. So do me a favor and drop a comment below with your favorite store for prepping and maybe the one item that you love to buy there. Until next time, let's be prepared, not scared.